Hello, everybody. It is Friday, December 30th, 2022, and we've got a new intro. We finally, have a Wrestling Republic daily broadcast branded intro instead of the basic one we were using before. But yeah, today I'm joined by Clark Taylor and Coby Galenzoski, and later on we've got a special guest. How are you guys today?
I'm doing great, man. Stoked to be here. Second to last day of the year. It's been a fun one, crazy one in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
We got special guest wise. We got my mama on the show today. I'm hyped about that too. Just and it's Friday. Does it get much better? I mean, come on.
How are you doing, Coby? You good?
Got yesterday over with. I'm mad that I couldn't show up and see the car crash that eventually happened live. But we might. I don't know if we'll have one tomorrow, but something might happen tomorrow.
It was
because Ignacio is returning tomorrow.
Yes. With Soul, that's going to be even more interesting.
With Soul, yeah. Ignacio and Soul returning. That's
could be an explosive show. Could also just be a show.
Yeah.
But it'll be a show.
Hopefully.
Allison's
it's not
first
as
missing show.
Yeah. Tomorrow's gonna be the first show which I'm not on because it's new. Of course, it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, and when we do the shows here, it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be out during that, but I'll be back. I'll be back for the show on Saturday. But yeah, yesterday's show was tense at the start, but I thought it ended up being a really good episode. And yeah, Ignacio will be back tomorrow. But we're going to start off today by talking about something which happened at WWE Live Event last night. And that was AJ Styles seemingly suffered an ankle injury, and the match had to be, he had to leave the match. He got taken out. He could not put any weight on it, and he locked in a lot of pain. So it's not looking great. And this leads to the question of, should WWE continue doing these live events? Because, of course, earlier this week we had the news come out about the holiday events just being a complete disaster because there's a lot of travel issues at the minute due to the weather, which admittedly you could say any time between November and February could be the case. But it's questionable about whether or not these live events are worth it. What do you think, Clark?
I mean, I grew up going to a lot of live events. That was like some of my first shows and introductions to the wrestling business. And so I love the idea of the performers having more freedom, bell to bell in those type of matches than normal to kind of try stuff. And you get to see I've been to some live events that, where outside of the fact that you're pretty sure all the champions are going to retain, more than just pretty sure, right? Outside of Diesel and what was it? The US title at MSG, maybe.
AJ Styles.
Yeah.
But and Samoa Joe NXT.
That's right. Outside of that, though, you're generally not going to see a title change hands, but they put on some pretty dang incredible matches. So it is frustrating to hear complaints about the match quality at live events because sometimes that's where you see pairing that may get 10 minutes on television, but they get 20 minutes at a live event, and that makes me sad. I don't think the future of the live event is in jeopardy. Realistically, I think that's one of the staples of WWE. It's what keeps everybody in the wrestling shape that they are to do what they do on TVs, on TV stuff, and on pay-per-views or premium live events. Sorry, I guess now. Whatever you call them. But that's where it more than anything, it kind of just makes me sad because I think that there is value in live shows, but if the product's no good, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that is one of the big issues, and of course, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, they don't really do live events. I know there's talk of them doing more in 2023, but they historically have not done that many. And
I think it's only one.
Yeah, only one, which was in Daly's place during the pandemic, and that was WrestleMania weekend, when, of course, a lot of people in Florida for WrestleMania. So it comes down to the question of, AEW wrestlers seem to do fine without live events.
It's true.
And how profitable are live events for WWE? They're not that profitable. They're not as bad as they were pre-pandemic, where they were losing money. Now it's a bit better financially. I'm not entirely sure if they are profitable or not now, but it's not as bad as it was before. But it's like, do you upset the wrestlers? Well, not upset the wrestlers, but of course they're not fans of having to put their body on the line even more. So that is the question. Is it worth it? What do you think, Coby?
I mean, that's the thing is there's a lot of towns, and it's especially where I am live right now, or where I live right now, they have never, I guess, historically based on cage matches database, which I'm pretty sure is pretty accurate. They've never held a televised event where I live. They've only held live events, which, I mean, there was one that it was just like, okay, well, the attendance stunk, and I mean the cards stunk, but theoretically, like, the best tag match I've ever seen live in person happened at a WWE Live event, and that's because they but they let the Revival and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode have the ring for 40 minutes.
Wow. I didn't even know about that.
You told me this story.
I'm pretty sure I've said it before.
It sounds incredible, actually. Honestly.
They had the match. They had the event before, not the event. They had the card placement before the intermission, but they went they went at least 40 minutes as a tag team match, and it was just like, yeah, that's good. It's amazing.
Well, that's crazy. Like, when WWE come to Cardiff, and I would have said the same thing, to be honest. I mean, like, they're never gonna come here to do any TV or whatever, and that now they've just done the biggest UK show in 30 years in Cardiff. But I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, no way, But whenever I used to go to the Cardiff live events, they never did anything like that. It was really, basic matches. I'm gonna be honest. The last two I went to, and they were the two after NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, that I was like, it's just, I can't even go to these live events anymore because they're just too mundane almost. Like, there's nothing of interest to me. It's just the same old, same old. And I mean, sure, it's really cool to see the wrestlers in person, but I don't know. It just wasn't worth the money to me almost, compared to, going to local independent events, where I felt like more, better action happened because, they were allowed to go for longer and all that. But that's really interesting that in Canada, when they've live toured, that they've let them, go and have banging matches, which you wouldn't see on TV. And I think maybe if they do want to do more live events, then perhaps in more remote areas, internationally as well, with unique matchups, that is the way to go about it. And then you could always tape them and then put them on the network a few years later. I think that could be, a solid idea. What about you, Carl? You said you been to a lot of live events. Have you ever? So, what are your thoughts on them, like in terms of the actual entertainment standpoint?
Yeah, and so it's funny. I haven't been to one recently. It's been a while, but as a kid, I went to a bunch. Like, I actually remember one of my favorite live event matches I saw was Umaga Carlito. Was outstanding at the time. I forget even who was carrying the Intercontinental title at the time, but they put on a slugfest of a match, and I actually became like kind of a Carlito fan for a stretch because I was like, whoa! I was sitting down in kind of good seats, and I was like, this guy's amazing, and that can happen with almost anybody if you have one great performance. Not that that's no knock on Carlito. I still think he's awesome, but that night I remember going home and being like, Carlito, he's so good. Like, how do we not book this guy better? That's one off the top of my head that I remember well. I definitely know matches where they like kind of tried stuff at a live event that I do remember also where you're like, no, which is fine. But I mean, that's why those cards are bigger anyway too, right? The matches, there's more matches on those cards than you'd see on a televised card, right? There's they're not doing promos. I think it'd be interesting. So one thing, the lack of promos at live events, I actually think it'd be beneficial to have like NXT talent at live events cut promos off television.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I think that's something that like could really, number one, bolster the entertainment value of the house show, and two, give you just an opportunity to do mic work that the pressure, it's not off. There's still a live audience, but you're not on national television doing that, right? And you're not just in front of your peers at the Performance Center. I think that might be a good way to supplement it. Maybe something like that would be, but I also think it's just a complicated issue because if they're losing money, then no, the answer is no, it's not worth it. But if the gates are big enough, and they're drawing big enough houses, then it is worth it, I think, because it's extra. It's like training in a more game-like situation. I think if it were like a different sport, and that's something that's hard to replicate outside of a ring with a live crowd, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's even no matter how much work you can put in with all the performance center and everything, it things do change in front of whatever it is, 7 to 10,000 people, 15,000 people, right? Whatever it may be, just it changes things. And for that alone, I do see value in the live event in the future.
Yeah. Sorry, am I breaking up, guys?
No, you're good. You're
Okay,
good. You're good.
Cool. So sorry, I think I have a couple of technical difficulties on my end, but
All good.
yeah, Elias, he's actually over the last couple of live events I went to in Cardiff. Elias actually did, his guitar promo. Like, he actually properly did that, and it was the first time I've ever seen him do promos on a live event. And it was just the Elias one, but and he always used to do, like, he did like Wonderwall.
Yes.
He'd get like interrupted or something, or he'd like then in another year then he did a parody of it, and then Finn Balor came out and beat him. It's just it's really fun experience. But I do think the promos, especially a talent such as Ricochet, perhaps who's not great at promos in front of a live crowd, giving him more exposure to that. I feel that could be hugely beneficial for him as a talent.
Yeah, that is a great call too. I think Ricochet, there's a bunch of guys that just don't get mic time on television week to week, even main roster too. I was thinking more NXT up and comer type things too, but even main roster talents that get the mic less, put a microphone in their hands at a live event and see if they can entertain the crowd. And even if they don't, then do it right. There's still plenty of time. I just think maybe like a fresh coat of paint on the live event might be able to kind of restore the old luster of you get to see what you watch as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And they're going to come to more towns because they can't go to every town on television. Right.
That's
and
true.
so like I think maybe just a little add to the show itself would be helpful. And also the secondary benefit of giving guys and girls that don't have mic time on TV week to week, the time to talk and the time to try to entertain and hone their skills in front of a live crowd. That twofold wise, that works,
I feel like that could really be beneficial. And I know, the other question is that if they didn't do live events, would more people go to TV? But then again, when you're doing them in remote areas, those people wouldn't have gone to TV. And by doing a live event there, they're buying merch. Well, hopefully, right. From WWE's perspective, they're hoping they'll buy merch. So it in remote areas it makes sense, but then when you're doing them in big markets, it's like, is this just taking away from TV numbers? Maybe. They'll obviously have a plan behind what they're doing, right? But if more talent continue to get injured and there's more travel issues and all that, it does make you question, are live events in 2022 something, well, nearly 2023 now, something which is worth doing or not? But we're going to get on to the next segment now.
So I did have just two things.
Okay, go ahead.
Based on my experience with the last event I went to in October, is part like some of the better moments was the talking. We had Sami Zayn talking about his first time ever wrestling where I live.
Oh, that's awesome. Especially because he's Canadian.
Exactly. He's Canadian.
That had to be cool. That had to be a fun promo.
It was. Exactly. Like, Sami Zayn was entertaining as he is all on TV. And I'll say this before and I'll say it again. The maximum male models we got on the live event is, why aren't they doing this on TV? It was money.
It was.
Like, what were they doing?
Oh, they were just ratting on the town. Like, they cut a promo and it was like, why are they doing the model stuff? Why are they doing runway fashion shows on TV? Why aren't they digging into the place they are and getting the cheap heat? Because it worked. Yeah. And then there was, even then, after the main event, we had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre talking about how they came here and how they're going to be at the pub. And I think they are doing it a lot more now, especially there was the video of Seth talking in Rochester about Brody Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. I did see that video.
They are doing it a lot more now, which is I do really enjoy. And I think that is the part of it. And I did some digging just to base on it. And there's a video that Bailey posted of the This Is Awesome chants for during the Revival match. But Dax Harwood originally deleted the tweet that said, "We wrestled 40 minutes tonight against Bobby Roode and Chad Gable at hashtag WWE Regina. My body feels that this pro wrestling thing is hard."
That's great. That's a great quote.
So yeah, he deleted it because that was Scott Dawson. But
yeah.
I really wish that they taped that match so we could see it now.
I do too. Now I'm curious.
I think they do tape everything, but I don't think they release it.
Yeah, we just can't get it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They should just release it. Just put it on the network. Spin the
put it on the network.
They should.
I mean, it's not like it's going to bring way more eyes to AEW.
Although no commentary wrestling is weird to watch sometimes.
It is. It is. I mean, you could add some. You can get some of the commentators. When you bring in commentators, you should get them to comment on old matches and put them on the network while you're training them up.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a way of getting. You can get feedback then as well, not just from the bosses, but from the people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, this guy's commentary on the network it was bad because of this, blah blah blah," or whatever. Like that's a good way to get gauge fan interest. But we'll move on to the next segment.
Yeah, and then the one before COVID in 2019 with that Revival match. I remember what was it? Oh yeah, they opened it because Seth Rollins couldn't make it, and they opened it with like getting everyone ready. We got a face Dean Ambrose promo. We had Lashley and Lio Rush going off. They opened the show with that four-way: Bobby Lashley, Dean Ambrose, Finn Balor, and Drew McIntyre as the opening contest.
That is wild.
We don't get this in Cardiff.
That's a ridiculous.
I need to go to Kobe's live events.
They've been fun. There was one that was utter shit in 2013, but no, 100%. I remember Drew McIntyre saying it's freaking cold because it was in February. So, the cards were fun, but the fact that was the opening contest is weird. And then the main event was Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. Okay, whatever. I'm done.
No worries. No, but that's
and then not to mention the David Spade chant and Drake Maverick. Okay, I'm done.
That I actually love. That cracks me up because he does look like David Spade. That's a fact.
Oh, he did at the time. Yeah,
he looks just like him.
Right, let's move on to the next segment now, guys. Right, now for those of you guys who weren't watching the show the other day, we were talking about the entire Lacey Evans situation. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what happened, she posted this on her story. And it's basically a clip saying that autism didn't exist before, processed foods and all this. And she then, there's a lot of controversy. So she replied with this tweet by Sean Rossap, which said, "This Lacey Evans post is infuriatingly stupid. I'll just leave it at that." And she replied saying, "I watched a video on the impact processed foods is having on our children, and I shared the video. You all are insane." I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're the insane ones. But then moving on then, she then liked the tweet saying, "Hey now, don't try and take away someone's desire to feel offended." So, she's clearly feels like she's trying to be, people are trying to cancel her for this or whatever, her, sharing completely false information. But today we're bringing in an expert, right? We're bringing in a guest. We're bringing in Lauri Taylor, who is the author of the best-selling memoir, The Accidental Truth: What My Mother's Murder Investigation Taught Me About Life. She also does mental health awareness and suicide prevention, and she's a keynote speaker and investigative journalist. Lauri Taylor, how are you today, Lauri?
I'm well. Happy to be here with you. Thank you.
That's great. So what was your take on this entire, Lacey Evans situation that's, unfolded with all of this and, the sources which she cited when it came to it all?
Sure. My background is in sports marketing. I've worked with professional athletes. I understand about building platforms and what platforms mean. And I also do investigative work about misinformation and disinformation and how it spreads and how it affects people. And my take on it was, in Lacey posting a meme, there was intent to trigger, right? There was intent because we know that disinformation and misinformation spreads further, right, than factual information. And what we know is that she didn't do her research. There were a lot of comments I saw on your site that, oh, well, she researched it. This is just her, her opinion. And I thought, digital literacy is really important right now. We need to check sources. So I went and checked the sources. And if you want to present an opinion, particularly a medical opinion, right? Anyone can Google who the expert is in autism, ADD, neurodiversity, if you're looking at, psychological disorders. It's very, very simple. But she wanted to post something to trigger a reaction, to go viral, so she would get the attention. And she wanted to, generally speaking, people who post memes want to confirm their own bias regarding a subject. So the source, Dr. Joel Wallach, was a respected veterinarian for 40 years before he became a neuropathic physician. In some states in the US anyway, if you're a neuropathic physician with his type of certification, you can't even use the term doctor. So obviously she wasn't going for an expert opinion. You can go to I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Simon Baron-Cohen at Cambridge. You can go to Stanford, Harvard, right? MIT, where there has been research and studies done. And I also saw people say, well, what's the harm in her just giving her opinion? And that's, I think, something that people really need to understand, is that she has young followers. Yeah. And she was gaslighting them, telling them that ADD and autism didn't exist. And we know that type of invalidation for someone who might be in a place of depression, a place that, where they're triggered, can be too much and can push them. They're at greater risk for a suicide attempt. And that was my concern. My desire to talk about it is that I do believe in people's right to free speech. I do, wholeheartedly. But people also have the right to push back and to state their, disagreement with, she stated an opinion as fact. And we know that medical disinformation is any claim that is made that can be disproven by scientific consensus, which means the experts agree on, and the experts don't agree on Lacey's statement in the end, Ben.
Yeah, and I mean, it's when people ask, what is the harm in it? Well, if you look back at the entire autism vaccine thing, and that all came from one study in the UK back in 1998, where they got 12 children, and they picked children who they knew were autistic, and then they were like, how many of you are vaccinated? And it was pretty much as simple as that. And 8 of the 12 were vaccinated, and that's what the study was published. And the doctor, it destroyed his career. But despite the fact that, it was awful, like the sample was awful, like you can't get it from just 12 children. Despite that, it caused so much harm. So many people didn't get vaccinated. So many people, were saying that vaccines caused autism, and still to this day people do. And it's in a really, really difficult situation now, where I don't think people really realize the impact of what, somebody, especially somebody with, a following like Lacey Evans does, the impact that can have on people and their thought process. And like you mentioned, a lot of people who might be seeing that are young, because a lot of her followers are, a lot of people on Instagram are a younger audience, and perhaps they wouldn't think to, look on certain sites and discuss stuff like that. And it really, really frustrated me. Like I commented, the other day, on the stream, like it is a really, really frustrating thing to see. But I mean, you just got to hope that people, look at the evidence and all of that. And WWE, she's meant to be returning to SmackDown tonight. However, they've not been advertising it now, so it does bring up, are they doing it, or are they just doing it quietly and they're not going to advertise it on social media? Those are the two questions going round. I mean, what do you think WWE should do, Clark? Do you have any thoughts on what they could do?
I personally would pull this appearance entirely, and even if they are going to bring her back, I still think we're owed that apology. That some sort of, I understand, personally, I'll be disappointed if we see her on television tonight. And that's not to say that I don't respect her work in the ring. I do. Lacey Evans is an amazing athlete, amazing story, being an ex-Marine, or not ex-Marine, a Marine, and a mother, and all of that. And I think that's what was so disappointing for me about the whole situation, was I really didn't think that she would, say something like that without really knowing what she was saying, I think. And then to react to it and kind of double down the way she did it's just frustrating to me. And so I hate to say this, and I don't want anyone to lose their job. I'm not saying fire her or cancel her or any of that, but just some sort of resolution, and I would prefer to not see her on television tonight.
She needs to be educated. She needs to be educated about the power of her words, the power of her platform. One thing that she will never see is the consequences of her words, right? She'll never know what child, what kid, who was affected adversely. And to, not have an awareness of that shows a lack of understanding of, right, the power of her platform, the power of the word. Also, brain health is a huge subject, right, in all of wrestling. Brain health includes, mental health. It includes, includes everything: brain injury, neurodiversity. It falls under the same umbrella. Neurodiverse, autism and ADD are not psychological disorders. They all follow under the brain health umbrella. And if we care about people who have depression, people who have CTE, right, we care about everybody who's under the umbrella. And I think for WWE not to acknowledge that part of it, I think would be a real misstep for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, we briefly touched on this the other day as well. Like, I don't understand how that WWE feel themselves like they'd have an issue with the what happened with Mandy Rose and why she got released from the company. Why they had an issue with that, but they wouldn't have an issue with one of their stars spreading misinformation, and then joking about spreading misinformation as well. Posting memes and all that. That's what I still can't quite get my head around about. Why WWE don't have an issue with this. Hopefully the situation gets resolved. Hopefully she apologizes, and hopefully everything can move on here. And that's ideally what we all want. But thank you for joining us, Lauri. I really, really appreciate it. And make sure to check out her book as well, which is, again, I'll say the title again: The Accidental Truth: What My Mother's Murder Investigation Taught Me About Life. And that is available on Amazon. And is it available anywhere else?
And anywhere books are sold.
Great. So anywhere books are sold. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully that's cleared some stuff up for everybody.
I appreciate it, Ben. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right. So let's now get into SmackDown tonight, right? Now we've already touched upon the Lacey on SmackDown tonight. We're gonna move past that now. And the big thing, which is on SmackDown tonight, John Cena is back, and he's going to be teaming with Kevin Owens to take on Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Now, do we have any predictions for what could happen tonight? We'll start with you, Clark.
Oh, man. It's so funny because in our lifetime, right, we've gone through phases where it feels like Cena's back. He's going to go over somebody that they've been building. But I don't feel like that's where it is. I don't think that's what it's going to be tonight. And I think John Cena and Kevin Owens are going to lose. I think they're going to lose tonight. It's weird to even say that, but I think where we are with John Cena's career at this point, he's not there to go over. He's there to put people over. And we saw him do it with Reigns last year and do all that. And I think that's what we see tonight. Am I excited to see Cena? Of course. It's Cena. It's going to be awesome. And the entrance will be huge. The entrance will pop. Everything about a Cena return is generally great because of what it's funny. For years we talked about how the crowd was split on him and polarizing and all of that. Now we're just happy to have him back.
Oh,
it feels like, and so it's like, it feels even more nostalgic back to almost all the way back to the Dr. Thugonomics days. I loved Dr. Thugonomics Cena. Not that I didn't love later Cena, but just the we get to get him tonight. And that to me is enough to already tune in. But I do actually think if I'm booking the match myself and the way I think it'll go, I think we'll see Cena and Kevin Owens take the loss tonight.
Wow. Soul, a regular guest here
Yeah.
and host of the Soul Sessions, has commented saying, I think Sammy will pin Cena for the win. So he agrees with you there. And that would be huge for Sammy and would certainly get him in the good box of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and perhaps would get that honorary Uso title taken away and just make him a full-blown Uso. What's your prediction, Coby?
And well, I mean, this is where you think about the rumors of. I mean, this is what we are a part of. We're a part of wrestling media. We are seeing the rumors. We are seeing the statements, the reports. We're seeing all of this, and that does hinder our ability to just enjoy it or just watch it as a fan. It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I'm going to look at it from the standpoint of. Oh yeah,
I haven't heard anything about. I haven't heard any leak about.
Well, I'm saying it as the future. Because if I'm saying match, if this match happens and the end goal is Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens at the Rumble, how does Kevin losing this take him to the Rumble? Like, I'm not saying you can't make that happen. I'm not saying Kevin Owens can't go into this match lose, and then still go into the Roman match by winning something or doing something. I think just because of the high profile aspect of this match, it is going to be very hard for Kevin and Cena to not win and build Cena up for that position, or not Cena, build Kevin Owens up for the match at the Rumble, which is interesting because it's the third match at the Rumble that Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens have had, and they're one apiece.
Yeah,
which is fun.
And they've all been bangers as well. They've all been really fun matches.
Been really good. Yes, they've all.
Wait, was the last man standing match a Rumble match?
That was at the Rumble, and then
that was at the Rumble. Okay. That match was so good. The finish got ruined or whatever, but that match was so good.
Numero 1 Superfly's comment here saying, my prediction regarding the main event, I'm thinking John Cena takes the pin, Bloodline destroys John and Kevin after the match, but Sammy starts hesitating on hurting Kevin due to their friendship. That could certainly
that idea.
That is certainly a good idea.
You know what? That is a solid little booking decision. I didn't kind of think of it that way. But my only thoughts, and I mean, it's probably hard to respond that quick in the comments, but would just be, do you think it's a little early to pull the trigger on, even though they're kind of teasing it now, on Sammy exposing that he does still have a heart in when it comes to his long-standing friendship with Kevin Owens? Do you think it's a little early to do that because of the work that Sammy's doing? That would be my only question. But I do love the booking idea. I think that would be more than just entertaining. I would be excited about it.
My prediction for the match is this. I think I actually don't think that Sammy's gonna have much of an issue attacking Kevin Owens when it comes to the in-ring action, because I think from his perspective, he's got to do this, get rid of the honorary title, which is what he's going to do, and I think he's going to once again prove himself to Roman Reigns until the ending. And I feel like Roman Reigns is going to be, fighting John Cena, outside the ring or whatever. And Roman Reigns is going to take out John Cena. However, in the ring, Kevin Owens is going to pin Sami Zayn. And I don't think it's going to be, a thing of, Sami can't, hurt him, and that's why he's been pinned. I think it's just going to be a clean pin. And I think that that's going to cause, Roman Reigns to be outraged. And I think that, I think that's good. What's going to really, create tension then between Sami and Kevin. And I believe at the Rumble, something's going to happen where Roman's going to want Sami to take out Kevin or something. And then maybe then Sami won't do it, but Reigns wins anyway. And then that'll lead to Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, which is what we're all presuming, considering, it's in Canada. What are your thoughts on that, Clark?
I think Elimination Chamber, we've all had it on our calendars. We've talked about this. That's what they're building to. They have to do that. I like that scenario myself a ton. And if that's the route that they take to get there, I'm all over it. The only thing I would say that I think would be interesting is, what if it was Cena that pinned Sami instead of Kevin? Only because
the title shot.
Only because Roman, so similar to your scenario, you said Roman takes Kevin out kind of on the outside, and Cena gets the win on Sami. So he's mad at Sami, and then Kevin gets in Sammy's ear and does that's not even your fault. John Cena hit the attitude adjustment, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That would be, and I'm playing a little devil's advocate there, right? I think this one is not hard to make good. I'm wondering where the magic little along the way is going to happen. And I think they do have like a few different choices they could make. But again, I think we mentioned this earlier in the week. I'm a little bit worried about just going back to Kevin and Sammy versus the Usos at Mania. Like, for Sammy to have done all this work to build himself to this point, it would be a shame. Not that Kevin Owens isn't a big name, obviously, but just would feel like a bit of a backslide.
Would it make the tag team titles though feel more important by bringing somebody who they built as a big solo star in Sammy, putting him with Kevin, another big solo star, and then giving them the tag team titles? Would that bring almost more honor to the titles, which is presumably something which Triple H wants to do? As there was a lot of honor in the NXT tag belts when he was booking that, and of course, tag team wrestling in WWE hasn't felt important in recent times.
But see, I think the Usos have already kind of started to do that. And
True.
outside of the friendship, Sammy and Kevin are realistically a non-traditional tag team, right? They have separate entrances. And so that would be my only thing is the Usos and the Profits last year. And before that, I felt like the tag team wrestling in the WWE has actually improved quite a bit the last 12 months. The Street Profits Usos match was one of my favorite tag matches of the year at Money in the Bank. That was absolutely like phenomenal. And I would be more, I kind of want to see Profits Usos again at Mania personally. And I also think that little personal bias might be in my way on some of the Sammy and Kevin. I'll admit that. I'm a huge fan of Montez Ford and the way Angelo Dawkins is cutting. And I already thought he was an amazing in-ring performer, but he looks like a completely new person this year. That guy has put the work in. I think it's kind of time to bring them back into that title picture.
Yeah,
as well.
I think that's absolutely something which you could do. I still do prefer the idea of Sammy and Kevin purely because, like, yes, we say they're not a traditional tag team, and that's true, but they've been a tag team for longer than we know about majority of tag teams on the roster.
They're naturally paired together in our heads, right?
But they've been doing tag team work longer than a lot of they've been doing tag team work longer than the Street Profits have together. If you actually look at it,
absolutely.
Not as much in recent time, but still, like if you look at over the years, so I wouldn't really have much of an issue with it, and I feel like that'd be it's really difficult about how you get Sammy away from the bloodline now. Like that's the difficult thing, how you do it. Because there's obviously the solo theory. We spoke about this the other day. There's a solo theory. There's the Uso theory, or there's just Roman turning on him. And I think the Roman turning on him is now looking like the most likely one. But this match tonight needs to do a couple of things really. It needs to not make Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, or Sami Zayn look weak, because all of those need to be protected heading into their upcoming feud. So it's obvious Cena, if his team loses, needs to be the one to be pinned. That's obvious. And it also, to me, I don't know why Cena would win it, purely because then it would seem like he's earned the title opportunity, not Kevin. And I know obviously Kevin's still going on about he didn't fairly lose last time at the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. Wait, was it 2 years ago now, or was it 1 year ago?
I believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, no. Of course. Yeah, two.
Yeah, two. It will be 2.
Yeah, that's what threw me off, Coby.
It was 20. Yeah.
No, if you're counting it being 2020 currently, it was 1 year. But next Rumble, it'll be 2 years.
And Roman always has bangers at the Rumble too. That's another thing.
Oh, 100%.
In recent years, 100%. He's always, even against Corbin, that match was Corbin's best match to date, I think.
Oh, it really was actually a great match. That was solid.
It shocked me at the time.
I would say some of the Corbin Gable stuff was as on par.
That's
the
true.
King of the Ring stuff was on par.
That was fun because they told Corbin during that feud that he they wanted him to wrestle more show his wrestling ability more. Not during the feud itself, but during the entire, tournament and all that. They wanted Corbin to show his wrestling skills more.
Oh, it was off the charts.
And
it was really good.
You could see how good of a wrestler he is.
I still think Gable is
his
so
matches were
underrated too. By the way,
Gable
he
is
is.
amazing.
It's unbelievable. How good he is.
Absolutely. He is on. He is a top competitor to Gable, and I mean he's whatever he's given, he does amazingly with. And we've seen it now with the shush please gimmick. He's got it over fantastically.
So dang funny.
I mean, they put him and Otis together. That's trying to bury them basically, but they made it work. And they're getting he's gotten a lot more TV time than pretty much he's probably up there with the Usos for TV time this year. He's on like every show.
He's on every show every Monday, and they give him like 12 to 15 minutes to wrestle, even if it's a tag match. And he is as good as anybody. It's amazing. He's underrated and overlooked, I think, for sure.
Yeah. And he randomly shows up on pay-per-view sometimes, on SmackDown sometimes. Like, he really is the guy to call if they want to put somebody over and do it in an entertaining way, because he's, like we said, he's fantastic in the ring, but he's also really good from an entertainment standpoint. And I feel like he's going to make for a great writer, producer in the future for WWE, and I think he's going to be even a trainer as well in the PCA. I think he's going to make for a great asset for them.
Yeah,
long term.
I was gonna say, I guess this is randomly throwing it out. No, like I haven't planned this, but we've seen this with the talent that NXT are bringing in, and they brought in Ziggler, they brought in Mandy. Mandy had an extended run. We're not going to talk about that. They had Doudrop and Nikki have a title shot. They had Viking Raiders had a couple matches before they did their eventual repackage. I think a team that should go to NXT, even if it's either a team or just him, Chad Gable in NXT would be phenomenal. You got Gable McDonough, you got Gable Axiom, Gable Julius Creed, you got Alpha Academy versus the Creed brothers. In general, Alpha Academy could be a standout in that division.
Oh yeah,
like Alpha Academy, even face Alpha Academy versus Pretty Deadly could be fun.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean they do have NXT 2.0 written all over them as well, Alpha Academy. So I mean that it's absolutely something that they could do, and that is a really good shout. I mean, maybe considering I don't know how long it'll be now, unless they do something. I like change up a bit. I don't know how long until this gimmick gets a little old. So moving them to NXT, that would be a fresh breath of new life for them. And once the New Day are done in NXT, they could certainly be the next team to go down and help the younger guys out.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I'm totally 110% for that one.
Yeah.
But we're getting now close to the end of the show, and I just wanted to thank everybody. This is the last time that I'll see you guys in 2022, as I've got the day off tomorrow. But it's been a great week of these episodes, and we're gonna have more in the new year. Obviously, we're going to try and go every day, and I'm excited for it. I think we've had great success so far with this show, but tomorrow Clark, Coby will both be back here, and so will Soul. And the controversial Ignacio will be back. Yesterday was a little tense, but tomorrow, Soul and Ignacio, we all know what they're like on TV.
It's gonna be a breeze.
We know what they're like.
Easy peasy.
In a daily broadcast.
We're gonna have a blast, and yeah, me and Coby will be there as well. Obviously, like you said, Happy New Year to everybody. By the way, I know it's a little early, but I'm just throwing that out there too. But yeah, no, it'll be fun tomorrow. It'll be great.
Oh, it'll be such a fun show.
Well, yeah, we won't hear we won't hear from the people who are diehard Allison fans. Because he's not on tomorrow, they won't watch.
The Ben Allison maniacs are hopefully don't boycott the show. Still watch us. We're gonna make it entertaining.
Tune in tomorrow.
Tune in 100%. Live.
But yeah, tomorrow it's gonna be a great show tomorrow for sure. Soul saying it's gonna be a 3-on-1 match tomorrow. Everybody against Ignacio. I was saying this yesterday. I have a feeling Coby's gonna agree with Ignacio on some points. It really could throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, we'll see. It
But,
really depends on the topics.
Yeah,
it depends on the topics. Aside from SmackDown, because obviously that's the one we're gonna cover. But
I feel like that's gonna be a big talking point tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for joining us, and thank you once again to Lauri Taylor for coming on the show today. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the new year. I hope you all, have a good New Year's Eve and all that. And yeah, I'll see you Saturday. They'll see you tomorrow. And the show tomorrow is 8 p.m. Is that correct, guys?
I believe your time. I think that's
I think
that'd
it's
be
the same time.
noon Pacific, 3
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern.
Awesome.
Tune in if you're available.
Yep.
We'll
See you
figure
guys
it out.
tomorrow. And yeah, from me, have a happy new year. And I'll see you in 2023.